Yeah. Yeah. Sounds so good, wouldn't you agree? Turn that shit up. Shot for you, shot for me. Only the real can relate. White Fuego. That's a fire. Amazing most. It's privy. This for that part of me that was styled by poverty. The hood in my veins now was clogging my arteries. It gave me vision, it also made it hard to see. I seen the artistry within the armed robbery. We got our 3-bedroom from a lottery, where you could catch a leg wound trying to find your key. You need that extra leg room when you find the V. Richer in the fed soon is what we bout to be. Brick sales, now every lobby got fish scales. Broke women who only hobby was rich males. You do 1 3 to 9, you take a big L. Then they throw that in your face, now how that shit smell. I'm coming home better than I used to be. I know the man in the mirror gon' shoot for me. I don't really trust niggas, truthfully. It's the privy, no motherfucking juice for me. I played them project games. Before Bloods and Crips, we had project gangs. They tried to jump me after school, but my projects came. Somebody ate your food, you had to digest pain. Damn, we came a long way from cane dealing. The hallways with the paint peeling. I swear to God, I must have seen 1 billion, but never even saved 1 million. The roof gone, we could change ceilings. The good guys, they the same villains. I woke up, I had a strange feeling. Bitch, I'm feeling like Dame feeling. I'ma be my own boss, any cost. Fat boy, 10 chains, no shirt. Ricky Ross putting on for my city. Now it's time they get me off. Been too long in this city, where the fuck I'm getting lost? You from where I'm from? You done what I done? You love Noriega, you was eating on the run. Police hit the door, they just beat it like a drum. It took me out that zone, that weekend wasn't fun. Now I just laugh when I'm looking back. I used to have to crash where I cooked the crack. I'm on the stage with a crooked hat, feeling like Big when he sang. Probably in a city I ain't never been. Trying to get some pussy I was never in. Tell them motherfucking haters that I'm better than what? Kelly rolling in my future, it'll never end.
Peace to the gods and earths and all the positive people in the universe. My name is Anthony GMATH WOMBLE, and you're now listening to my audio diary styled by poverty, the podcast or the Oddcast. Brought to you by the great good people of the VANDAL and S.STREET Media. This episode is called 1993, episode 1. Now, in 1993, man, I was in prison, or I was about to go to prison for an attempted murder, which I copped out to, an assault in the first. I was 15 years old when I committed the crime. I was about 17 years old when I went to prison for the crime. It basically changed my life. I was arrested prior to this arrest, and which was kind of minor. It was for joyriding or something in Queens, in Woodside, Queens. But this first felony definitely changed my life. You know what I mean? I was involved in graffiti at the time. I wrote graph. My tag was Knock 718. I was like well-known graffiti-wise throughout Brooklyn and in other boroughs, but I'm gonna say Brooklyn, I was definitely known, very known. And you know, the graffiti is like a gateway drug. It opens up you to different other crimes. You know, stealing cars, breaking and entering, burglaries, robberies, but graffiti was kind of like the gateway crime. You know, it was the first time I went to prison. I went to Mod 8, the same place that Biggie Smalls went to. Mod 8 set me straight. It wasn't an easy thing for a person who never been to prison. I just walked in. The Sprongs had beef. There was beef in the Sprongs, the blacks versus the Puerto Ricans. I walked into a war. This is the same time that the Bloods was happening or beginning to start. So it was really crazy with the blacks and Puerto Ricans. I myself is a part of the Nation of Guards and Earths. But it was a lot of shit going on in 1993. 1993 changed my life. And that's the reason why I wanted to start this podcast with 1993, because 1993 basically made me who I am today. It was where I learned that the streets is real. It's where I learned that you got to learn how to hold down yourself no matter what. It is where, you know, I learned who my friends and what weren't my friends at that time. You know, I was in Washington Correctional Facility. For the people who don't know about Washington, Washington was a youth detention. It was an adult facility, but it was mostly youth there. To this day, Washington Green is still well-known jails. It was crazy in there. You know, I met the guard Superb in there, who later becomes part of Wu-Tang and Ghostface Killer's whole movement. I met the guard Everlast, Bleak's brother, who's my man to this day. Shout out to my man Everlast. Shout out to my man Everlast. More than likely he'll be listening to this. But it was the beginning of a lot of things for me. You know, when I went to prison, I was kind of a child. And even, you know, I was 17 years old. And I came home about 19 years old, still a child, you know, in my eyes now, looking back in retrospect. But I came home, I thought that I had grown. I believe that I was actually worse than when I came in. You know, I had a lot of dislike for authority, and being in prison, it definitely it made that hate for authority even more stronger. Pardon me for saying it that way. It made it stronger. But I wanted to start Style by Poverty, you know, my new podcast where, you know, a serious story. This podcast is not going to be like the Vandal Hour was. It's not going to be like Straight Gas was. This is basically an audio diary, you know, of myself. You know, my name is Anthony WOMBLE. The streets call me GMATH. In prison, I was called GMATH or mathematics. When I came home, a lot of people who I'm in business with now call me mathematics. So it's an audio diary of mathematics. You know, for people who don't know who I am, to get to learn a little bit about myself, and also my way of thinking. I think I have a very different outlook on life than many people that I'm around or bump into. So basically, I wanted to give you a little bit about myself. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say this. You know, we're going to be talking about the streets on Style by Poverty. We're going to be talking about books on Style by Poverty. We're definitely going to be talking about fashion on Style by Poverty. We're going to be talking about what's going on the internet on Style by Poverty. We're going to be talking about business on Style by Poverty. This is like a platform for you know, how I look at life and different people who coincide with this outlook. I'm going to be interviewing people. It's not going to be just rappers. It's not going to be just graffiti writers like the Vandal Hour, but this is going to be normal people, real people, different people who I come into contact with that I think that have something to say, that I will listen to, but something to say to my audience. And so I'm going to be bringing people like that on. In the beginning of the the podcast. You seen I had a couple of pictures of me back in the days in prison. Shout out to my man Air, who's in one of those pictures. There's another person in that picture, and the reason why I use that picture, because that dude changed my life also. You know what I mean? My second bid was because of the second person, but I'm not going to go into no negativity with that. This podcast is not pushing that. You know what I mean? We're pushing a positive agenda. I want to talk to the people out there in the streets, man. Like, you know, a lot of these OGs calling themselves OGs, which I disagree with. A lot of people are not OGs. OGs ain't a person who just reached a certain age in the streets and is still there. Or OG is, because you have a lot of people who, in my time, were killed, went to prison forever. So, you know, you don't get to hear their voices. And a lot of these so-called OGs are just people who survived or who was out there when everybody else was gone. You know, they may not have been doing crime. They may not have been mixed up in the streets, but they're there. They're not kids. And, you know, a lot of these dudes is forced claiming. You know, they're not mentoring our kids. They're giving our kids drugs to use and sell. They're manipulating our children into gangs and stuff like that. So they're not OGs in my eye. OGs in my eye is people who went through the struggles of the streets, survived without snitching on anyone, survived without any negative strikes. They didn't get pussied out. They're people who just elevated their lives, but they still don't forget where they come from. They look out for the youth. They help the young get jobs, push them in the right direction. Those is what an OG is to me. These days, it's just a lot of old dudes out there, man. And I'm going to keep it a buck with you. A lot of our youth know that. You know, a lot of our youth know that these dudes ain't really who they claim to be. Especially when a person like myself or a person in the same stature comes around, because all that shit gets thrown out the window. You know what I mean? So, you know, this podcast is going to be dealing with the truths of what's going on in the streets. We're going to be dealing with a lot of different things, man. A lot of different things. Now, one of the things I'm going to be bringing to this Style by Poverty podcast is mathematics. I'm part of the Nation of Gods and Earths. For the people who may not know what the Gods and Earths are, the Gods and Earths are a culture, a part of a culture who subscribes to the black man being God. You know what I mean? And the black woman being the earth, and the child being the understanding or the seed. We are a group of people who are not pro-black nor anti-white. We are pro-righteousness, anti-devilishment, man. You know, I was enlightened by the God Dupreme Allah in 1991, I believe. He brought civilization to me. And he passed me lessons. And shout out to my man, the God Dupreme, man. The God Dupreme has always supported me. He has always been my OG, my mentor when I was young, till to this day. And he's the one who I brought knowledge of self to my awareness. I done heard about knowledge of self when, you know, listening to Brand Nubians, or listening to Public Enemy, or listening to A Tribe Called Quest. You know, I was a native tongue dude when I was younger. So a lot of our lessons was being said in rhymes. Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, people of them sort, of that sort. Even King's Son. You know, a lot of MCs back then were in the Nation of Gods and Nerves, aka 5%ers, and they kind of like sparked the light. But the God Dupreme is the person who actually gave me lessons, brought me to the school on Uptown on 127th, I believe, and 7th, if I'm not mistaken. He's the one that you know, kind of guided my mentality to where it is today. So shout out to the God Dupreme, man. You know, I got a lot of different stuff going on. For those that don't know, I have a company called S.STREET Media. We deal with podcasting. It's a media company. Style by S.STREET Media stands for Skull Street Media. We have a lot of dope shows. The Guard, Soon as the Law, the Vandal Hour, Nobody Put Us On, Wilma's Podcast, Tony Inside and Out, The Purpose Radio with Ebony J. We have a lot of dope content coming out of S.STREET Media. So I'm one of the owners of S.STREET Media. We also have Sosa. We also have Jenna Hirsch, my man Rod, and it's all co-owners of S.STREET Media. So, you know, S.STREET Media is, you know, that's our station that we on now, you know, representing right now. You know, I'm shout out to all my S.STREET Media family. I got Eric in the building helping me pull this one off. So, yeah, I got the S.STREET Media thing going on. I have the Style by Poverty going on, LLC, which is a wholesale retail company. I also deal with investment and clothing. The clothing is doing well. You know, we done just recently had a pop-up at the office. A couple of weeks ago, we had a fashion show in Williamsburg. Shout out to everyone that turned out to that pop-up and to our fashion show. The fashion show was dope. We did it over there at 188 Wood Point Road. It was dope. Good turnout. You know, shout out to all my models, Pizzle, A1, The Guard, Mac, Scotty Optimo, Lady J. I believe M. Dot was also one of the models. It was and T.O. Shout out to all them people, man. It was a good turnout. Shout out to all my Williamsburg people that showed up. So that's what Style by Poverty is, man. Style by Poverty is a brand that I started recently, a company I started recently, but it's really a mentality. You know, people always ask me, what do Style by Poverty mean, man? And the best way to say what Style by Poverty is, it's styled by trauma, styled by struggle, styled by whatever makes you you. You know, in my case, poverty was the main ingredient in my life. You know, I grew up in Williamsburg projects. I didn't have a lot. You know, my father was there and not there. I can't explain that, but he was there. But he had his own life going on, which is nothing negative to say about that. I love my father. Rest in peace, Ivan Womble. But he was in his own zone at that time. And so, you know, Style by Poverty to me is styled by trauma. I was traumatized, I'm going to say, by not having. It kind of became the burning flame to who I am. Like, I always needed, I wanted to be a fly dude. I wanted to get fresh. You know, back then, everybody was wearing polo. You know, everybody was wearing Guess. Everybody was wearing Tommy Hilfiger, Girbaud jeans. And if you didn't have it, you was not in the in crowd. You know what I mean? So I wanted these things, and that's what kind of probably pushed me towards hustling, which probably pushed me towards robberies and boosting and stuff like that, because I didn't have. And I was surrounded by other kids who didn't have, you know? So it kind of made me who I was, even to this day. You know what I mean? Poverty has styled everything that I've done. I never wanted to go back to the position that I was when I was down. You know what I mean? I used to use drugs. I was, I used to use cocaine. I had addiction, strong addiction. When I say strong addiction, it's Scarface type of shit, man. So all these different traumatic things in my life, you know, my grandmother passing away at a young age, who was like the person who was like the one I could say was really truly in my corner outside of my mom's. But all these little traumatic experiences kind of formed who I was. You know what I mean? You know, I ran around a group of dudes. Shout out to all my 718 dudes. Hi, RU, Led, Billy, Akandeli. It's so many people. It's so many people. But shout out to all my 718 brothers. And my man Air, who's in the picture in the beginning. These are all people who was in like similar situations. You know, we was all growing up in Williamsburg trying to find out who we was. You know what I mean? We was trying to find out, you know, how do we make it to the next day? You know, how do we get past these mean streets, you know? And together we formed a group called 718, and kind of like we was all brothers to each other, man. We was all brothers to, you know, ourselves. But I wanted to say, you know, I'm diverging from the 5% point. Today's mathematics is the 10th. Knowledge cipher. Knowledge is to look, listen, and also to observe and respect. Knowledge is the foundation of all things in existence, such as the black man is the foundation of his black family, and the sun is the foundation of the solar system. Knowledge is infinite. Knowledge is to acknowledge, to listen with your ears, your eyes, your feelings, to know, you know, to study something. You know, and the cipher is a completion of a circle 360 degrees. So together, knowledge cipher is to knowledge your surroundings. Knowledge what's going on. Because a lot of people are walking around blind. We in a age where we are disconnected. Our eyes is on our phones and not on, you know, in front of us or behind us. This is a very unaware generation. You know, so today, knowledge is cipher. Knowledge what's going on around you. Study what's going on around you. You know what I mean? That's the only way that you could rise above this hell is to study what's going on around you. You know what I mean? You gotta know what's going on. So, all my podcasts, every style by poverty, I will always say today's mathematics, because I think mathematics is a very important. It's a very important thing. I'm not gonna say thing, but it's a very important science. It is mathematics. Everything is based on mathematics. You wouldn't have science. You wouldn't have religion. You wouldn't have none of that shit without having mathematics. Mathematics is the basic building blocks to life. You know what I mean? So every podcast, I will say today's mathematics, for not just for the people who's in the nation of gods and earths, but for the people who's outside of the nation of gods and earths, man. I want to diverge a little bit into something else. You know, I want you to know, you know, what's going on society-wise. When you listen to Style by Poverty, the podcast or the Oddcast, you're gonna get what's going on in society also. Because as I said, to be unaware, to not be aware of what's going on, is to be blind, deaf, and dumb, is to be lost. And that's not what I'm pushing. I'm pushing awareness. I'm pushing to be awoke. And I'm not talking about that commercial woke that you these people out here doing, like these fake chakra, incense lighting, sage sparking, full of shit at motherfuckers. You know what I mean? A lot of these people are fake spiritual. They are equivalent to a priest. They are equivalent to, you know, these people in these high places that are fouler than foul. You know what I mean? The Weinsteins of the world. You know what I mean? And they come under the name, and they come under these powerful names and stuff like this. But you got to be aware of what's going on in society, man. I want to speak about this, man. Governor Cuomo today announced that he will be resigning from being governor. Now, let me say this, man. this is our first time being in contact with each other, but for the people that surrounds me, I knew that Governor Cuomo was going down. A year and some change ago, people was praising this guy. People was praising this guy. And I knew something was wrong. What I knew was wrong when during this pandemic or plandemic or bandemic, whatever you want to call it, this dude was sending people from the nursing home who was sick to the hospital back to the nursing home. Now, anybody who knows, we had a boat at that time. We had Jacob Javits Center. You were supposed to send those people after going to the hospital there. But no, he sent these people back to the nursing home, which killed thousands of people. Now, you have a place like Florida who has a very high ratio of elderly people, and they had the lowest death rate. Why is that? Because Florida wasn't sending their people from the nursing home who got sick to the hospital back to the nursing home. That was the mistake, man. So I knew then that this dude Cuomo was doing something wrong. Besides that, you know, people was, and let me say this, they was praising him because he wasn't locking shit down as fast as all the other states was at the time. But, you know, this dude to me is, you know, any guy who's gonna wear nipple piercings with a white shirt on while he's delivering his speech, his daily speech to the people of New York, and he has a white shirt on with that you could see through with nipple piercings in both nipples, something is off. Let me just say that. Something is definitely off about that. You know what I mean? So I was telling my moms then, like, you know, this dude is, something is up with him. You know what I mean? And now all these allegations coming out allegedly that, you know, he was doing all this wild shit at work with the women, you know what I mean, offering sausages and you know, spitting his game. You know what I mean? Spitting his game. Which in the real world, if you don't have no power and you're not nobody's boss, you could do that. But when you somebody's boss, it becomes something else. It becomes something else. So this dude, you know, he swore he was on a plateau higher than thou, you know, and now you know, a couple of you know, months later, he was going to resign. He's stepping down, resigning in 14 days. Personally, I'm happy. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care about neither of those lies. But, you know, when I see bullshit, I'm going to call bullshit bullshit. Also, man, this dude Bill de Blasio. Now, let me just say this. This is not a political show. Styled by Poverty, the podcast or the Oddcast is not a political show. Far from it. We are not a political show. We are a show about a little bit of everything. It's about the Renaissance. I'm a Renaissance man, so we're going to have a little bit of everything going on. But this is not a political show, so pardon me if I'm talking, you know, a little bit more extra about politics, but this is real shit. Let's talk about Bill de Blasio, man. Bill de Blasio, to me, is full of shit also. Now that he's a lame duck, and for those who don't know what a lame duck is a person politically who has no more time left in office. You know what I mean? He can't run for the same office again. So now he could do shit without retribution of wanting to be, of having to run for office the next year. So now this dude is showing his motherfucking ass. You know what I mean? This vaccine shit, it's crazy what he's doing. I'm not going to go into all of that because I don't want my episode bopped off of YouTube and shit like that. Because you know the powers that be have the powers that be. But I'm just going to say this. He's doing a whole lot of lame shit now that he's a lame duck. He's a lame, but now he's a lame duck. You don't even see his black wife no more. You know what I mean? That's kind of weird. Like before, when he was running for mayor, his wife was in every fucking picture with him. Now that he's a lame duck, you don't see this chick anywhere. You don't see this lady anywhere. That's how you know he's doing some other shit. So now, all of a sudden now, you for you to be a nurse or working in the medical field, you got to take the vaccine. If you working for the police or something like that, he want motherfuckers to take the vaccine. If you a restaurant, you can't have people in a restaurant no more unless they have vaccine cards. Let me say this, man. This is New York City, man. Vaccine cards is for sale. If you don't know, just like IDs is for sale too. You know what I mean? I know a lot of brothers on the run right now who bought their ID. You know what I mean? So if you think that the vaccine card won't be for sale, you are sadly mistaken. The vaccine card, from what I'm hearing, they costing about $250, $300. You know what I mean? And you can do everything but get on the plane with it. And let me just advise you. Don't get on the plane with the vaccine card. I know somebody who got hit for 20 G's. That's what I'm hearing, man. So yeah, it's for sale, man. So if you want to take you and your lady and your family to one of them exclusive restaurants on Fifth Avenue, I advise you to go to the black web and find you a motherfucking card, because it's out there for sale, man. I know a few people who got them already, man. You know what I mean? Also, man, this Delta strain, man. This Delta strain. I'm not gonna go too much into this again, man. But it seems like these strains is changing up like weed strains, man. You got Gorilla Glue, you got what's that? Wedding cake, and you got some sour, some platinum. Now with the COVID, you got COVID-19, you got Delta, you got the Lambada. You heard this one? Did you hear about the Lambada? Yeah, it's in them Spanish places right now. I don't know. They must have met Ricky Valens, but yeah, it's crazy, man. They come out with strains like they come out with weed strains, man. That shit is crazy, man. I feel like this world is becoming becoming backwards. It's like the upside down kingdom. If you don't know what the upside down kingdom, look that up, man. I've read that in prison. The upside down kingdom. That's what's going on right now. You know what I mean? You got people who's not praising life, but they praising death. How many times you go on Instagram and somebody got rest in peace this, rest in peace that, somebody just passed away, this and that. What the fuck is going on? Like, who want to wake up and see 1 million death notices on Instagram? Not me. Not me. You know what I mean? This also correlates with rap music, because it seems like all these rappers are getting killed. All these rappers are killing somebody. You know what I mean? Rest in peace, King Von. But, you know, from what I hear, he has 7 bodies. That's what the street said. You know what I mean? One of the bodies just came out. The police just accused them of one of the murders. Even after him being dead, they just connected the murder of some young chick in Chicago to King Von. You know what I mean? And let me say this. King Von is loved. They love King Von. I'm not gonna lie to you. You got some good music. Some of the joints I like. The Story one that he got. But he's a self-proclaimed demon. Matter of fact, his new song coming out, Demon. You know what I mean? This is what our society is. Society praising death. Praising death. Nobody want to praise life no more. Everybody want to praise death. Everybody want to be a killer. You know what I mean? As my man Big Pun said, you ain't a killer. You know why you ain't a killer? Because these killers, when they get caught for their first body, be the first one that telling the whole town. This dude killed somebody, but the weed man getting arrested. You know what I mean? Because this guy can't hold no water. This is what's going on right now. This is how you know shit is fucked up. You know what I mean? Shit is crazy, man. Shit is crazy, man. The streets is twisted, man. The streets is twisted. It's not the same no more. It is definitely not the same no more, you know? But I want to talk about, you know, I'm a person who likes to write and read. You know, right now I'm reading this series right now. If you don't know, I got my man Eric in the building. My man EB's in the motherfucking building. And right now I'm rereading this series. It's a book series called Necroscope. If you don't know what Necroscope is, by Brian Lumley, it's a dope series. I'm on book 4 right now. I done read the series prior to this in prison, but I had to revisit the series because it's a dope fucking series, man. And it's kind of like the X-Men with espionage. You know what I mean? The main character name is Harry Keogh, man. Check it out, man. They got the books on Amazon for kind of cheap. Actually, they're not actually cheap no more. Brian Lumley is getting a buzz right now. I just looked him up on Instagram. There's a lot of like cult followers of Brian Lumley, but it's a vampire series. It's crazy. It's not like really a vampire series, but it is. I know that should sound crazy, but it's not like hardcore Bram Stoker shit. You know what I mean? But his twist to it is ill. You know what I mean? But I also read Dapper Dan book. Let me just say, Dapper Dan book. Great book, man. If you haven't read Dapper Dan's book, I forgot the name of the book, but it's a great book. I think it's a memoir, if I'm not mistaken. Dapper Dan, what makes Dapper Dan ill is Dapper Dan is a real individual. My man was like went broke recently. Before the Gucci deal recently, he was hustling. He was outside for real, man. Like, you know, his book is crazy because he talk about all the old hustlers like the Bumpy Johnsons and stuff like that. But he talk about like a lot of good Harlem history, man. If you want to know like his perspective on Harlem history and Harlem fashion is very dope, man. I advise y'all to check the book out. Also, man, recently, I had read a book by the guard, Star Mel Allah. I forgot the name of the book, but it's by Star Mel Allah. It's something the Jubilee edition. It's dealing with the Nation of Gods and Earths. Great book. He was interviewed by Sunaz Allah on S.STREET Media, the Power Right Show. If you want to check that out, you could just go to our YouTube page and check out S.STREET Media on YouTube. The Star Mel episode with Sunaz Allah. But that's the last few books I've been reading. Also, man, you know, I'm a poor person, you know, styled by poverty. That's where that come from. I just recently got TV in my room. And I even more recently just got the Fire Stick. And let me just say, I've been watching every documentary on that joint, man. I'm going to tell you one on the Fire Stick on Amazon Prime that y'all need to check out. The Monopoly documentary. If you're a Monopoly fan like myself, it is a fucking dope documentary. Let me just say, Monopoly is like more popular than a lot of board games, more than you think. They have a Monopoly championship, Olympics type of thing, man. Shit is crazy, man. And if you learn the story about how Monopoly actually came into fruition, it's a ill story, man. It took like years for it to finally come out. It was like some down low homemade shit for years until, you know, somebody took the initiative and actually made it into an official game. I'm a Monopoly addict. My man Eric is also a Monopoly addict. But if you want to check it out, go to Amazon Prime and check out the Monopoly documentary. I also watched the documentary on Frank Matthews. For the people who don't know who Frank Matthews is, you know, since this is like a podcast that comes from the streets, kind of, Frank Matthews was a drug dealer in the 70s. One of the only drug dealers, like major drug dealers that got away. You know, the guard just disappeared into thin air. The dude was was arrested. He was supposed to go back to court, and it disappeared. From what I'm hearing, with millions of dollars. They don't know if he's alive or dead to this day. But Frank Matthews' story is crazy. They say he's bigger than Nicky Barnes, Frank Lucas, and all that shit, and he wasn't telling. You know what I mean? So check out that Frank Matthews. Check out the Frank Matthews fucking joint. I think I fucked up on this interview with not having a camera on. So now that the camera's on, you probably see me. I think I was switching off the videos off the wrong time. Pardon me. This is my first episode. Hopefully the audio is still legit, so we still good. But yeah, man. The Frank Matthews joint was crazy, man. It was a dope documentary, man. Dope documentary. And one of the last things I wanted to talk about, dealing with that type of stuff is I just watched the Endgame with the Avengers. Let me say this, man. It was a dope movie, man. I didn't watch none of the other parts, so I kind of skipped into this, but the Endgame is a dope movie. Shout out to Marvel for making that one. Let me just say this. Thanos is black. If you don't know, Thanos is black. Thanos, I'm just assuming that he's black. If you look at his story, like in the movie, he kind of, who comes from Egypt, like, and not be black? I don't like. I'm gonna say that. Who comes from Egypt, and he's like the original mutant and shit like that? Who comes from Egypt and not be black? I think he's a black mutant. They made him purple though. You know how that go. Just like the aliens and stuff like that and all that. Everybody, the aliens did this and aliens did that and aliens did that, even though we know those is really black people. You know what I mean? Zachariah Sitchin may not say that, or what's my other year? Zachariah Sitchin and the Children of the Matrix guy, they're going to put all the great things that the world has come to the world to the aliens. It's that's the world we live in these days, man. That's the world we live in these days. But I'm not gonna make this a long joint, man. I just wanted to, I wanted y'all to, learn a little bit about me. And I want y'all to really tune into this podcast. It's called Style by Poverty. As I said, we're going to talk about business. We're going to talk about fashion. We're going to talk about graffiti. We're going to talk about popular culture. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything, man. Entertainment. And definitely we're going to talk about the streets, man. Because the streets need a voice, man, that is not trying to glorify this shit. You know what I mean? A lot of these people are trying to glorify, the streets. I'm not trying to glorify the streets. I want to just be real with y'all and my experiences that I've been through. I'm never going to try to sugarcoat nothing, but at the same time, I'm not going to glorify anything either. You know what I mean? I want y'all to have a real outlook on what's going on in the streets, man. A lot of these dudes, when you listen to these rappers and stuff like that, or you listen to these other podcasts that deal with the criminal element, it seems like they're always trying to glorify something, or these dudes got wars with themselves 40, 30 years later. So I'm not going to have nobody on my show bad talking someone, you know what I mean? I'm not pushing that negative shit. If you're looking for a negative podcast, if you're looking for street glory stories, this is not the fucking podcast you need to be listening to. Let me just say that again. If you're looking for some street glory stories, or you're looking for some, who killed this and who killed that, who got beef with this person and who got beef with that person, Style by Poverty isn't the podcast you need to be listening to. I'm trying to bring positivity to what's going on out here. I'm trying to make my people aware of what's going on out here. I'm trying to save our children. You know what I mean? Our children is more important to me than anybody's war story. You know what I mean? I know a million killers, man. That shit don't mean shit. That shit don't mean shit. And let me just say this, man. Most of the killers that I know is not pushing that killer shit, man. Let me say this. I know killers that's in business, corporate. I know killers that's moving and grooving in the music industry, making a whole lot of paper. I know killers who are working with children and drug addicts and in these programs. So we not pushing that negative shit, man. Hopefully, I'm gonna have some dope interviews. You know, if I could get my man Ivan on here, Ivan Johnson from Harlem. If you know, you know. Maybe I could get you know, a couple of MCs on here, man, of stature. Or I'm just gonna have some normal people telling their stories, man. Maybe I could get my man Seiko up here. Maybe I could get my man J-Lo up here. You know, people who's real, who live the real lifestyles and are pushing a positive agenda. You know what I mean? Before I get out of here also, you know, thank you to everybody who came out to our Summer Jam, S.STREET Media Summer Jam. It was a success. It was a great, I had a great time. I believe that most of the people who's there had a great time. I apologize to anyone who didn't get to perform, man. Shout out to my man Butter Nano, man. Again, all my Waynesburg people, man. Thank you for coming through. But, you know, shit got kind of hectic. You know, I'm just glad that y'all had some understanding for me. And thank y'all for pulling up, showing out. It was a great turnout, man. And we got something coming up this week. We have the Sister joint coming up on Saturday. We also have BeatCon coming up the following week. And I believe we have Waynesburg Day, S.STREET Media Waynesburg Day Barbecue coming up. Also, my birthday event's coming up, 45 laps around the sun, September 11th. So we got a lot of different things coming up. Yo, shout out to all my S.STREET Media people, 1718 Sosa, Rod, Spicy Sugar, Eric, my cousin Raj. Definitely shout out to my cousin Raj, man. Without my cousin Raj, I probably wouldn't be here. That's my right hand, my main man. Shout out to all the people who support us, man. You know, being an entrepreneur was choosing to be an entrepreneur was one of the hardest things that I did in my life. I could have worked many other jobs. I could have did many other things, but I chose to be an entrepreneur. I chose the hard road. I chose to battle, and know why? Because I wanted control. You can't have control under someone else's shit. So entrepreneurship was naturally in my veins. I have been anti-authority since I can remember. You know what I mean? So starting my own business is not the easiest thing. You know, I don't know how much I'm going to make this week, how much I'm going to make next week. So it's not guaranteed. But I love what I do. You know what I mean? It has made me who I am. It has styled who I am. This entrepreneurship travels and road I've been on. So, you know, shout out to all the other entrepreneurs doing the same thing, man. Again, if you're listening or watching this, I apologize for the camera situation. I was looking at the wrong thing for the majority of the time. But when you're working on, when I'm talking and actually doing the technical stuff behind it, it's not an easy job. By our next episode, it will be in better and work. We'll be in a better situation. Again, this is episode 1993. Why 1993? Because 1993 changed my life. It was one of the years that changed my life. I went to prison, and I became who I became. So, thank you all for listening to Style by Poverty. My name is Anthony GMATH Womble, yes, of the Womble tribe of Winsburg. And I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. We'll be back with another episode, a better episode. I just wanted to get this off the ground. I said in February I was going to start this. It's 7 months later, 6 months later. I'm starting today. Shit happens. I got a lot of things on my plate. But thank you to everyone who's supporting what I'm doing. Without y'all, there'd be no math, man. Shout out to my moms, man. My moms is always in my corner. More than likely, she'll be listening to this also. Shout out to Rose, the first cancer, my first cancer love, and my son Elias, aka Easy the God. And I am out of here.